So let's get into what some of the predictions say from Redfin on where things are going to be going, guys. Now, obviously, they are just predictions and they've been wrong before in the past, but it's interesting to take a look at where they think it's going based on the current housing market data they have right now. And starting with Redfin and mortgage rates, first of all, they believe that mortgage rates are pretty much going to be stuck where they're at throughout all of 2026. They're going to be consistently above 6%, so don't expect mortgage rates to drop into the fives or the low fives anytime soon. It's not going to happen. But they are saying that for the first time since 2022, the typical monthly payment will fall below 30% of a household's income, which is going to slightly help affordability. And Redfin has a more bullish outlook on home price increases throughout next year. They believe that home prices are going to increase another 2.2% next year after only rising 2% this year. So they actually think that home prices are going to go up more next year than they did this year. But if that does happen, keep in mind that it's only going to be because the luxury sales continue to boom and people with a lot of money are still transacting on record high real estate prices, and that pushes up the median regardless of what's going on in the lower end of the market, guys. And as of today, I'm making this video, the majority, more than half of all the sales transactions that are taking place are well over the $500,000 or $1 million mark. But even if their prediction is correct, that still means that home prices are going to be rising slower than inflation, which is problematic for sellers and a slight edge, an advantage for buyers. But they still project that home sales are going to remain in the tank, rising only 0.1% to about 4.07 million homes sold annually. So that's a very slim margin of any sort of increase at all. We're talking maybe an extra 100,000 homes sold in 2026 over what has sold in 2025, guys. So every time you see in 2026 when the headlines come up saying, oh, there's been more mortgage applications, there's more people jumping back into the market, realize that it is going to be a very, very small amount of people that the news is going to make it seem like, oh my God, you better jump back in and buy a house today, because they want to create that FOMO. There's a lot of interest in creating that FOMO. A lot of people get paid all the way up and down the ladder when people buy and sell homes. And you got to remember, this is well below how many homes were selling before the pandemic. Like the national average between 2013 and 2019 was about 5.3 million homes being sold on an annual basis. We're down to 4 million. That is a noticeable decline. And good news for renters, Redfin is predicting that rents will decline by another 1% next year, and existing home inventory will grow by an additional 8.9%. So anybody who is going to be looking at buying a home in 2026 is going to have more options than people have had in years, really since before the pandemic, guys. So from that point of view alone, it's going to be a very good year to be a home buyer. Not price-wise, at least not in a lot of markets, but from a selection point of view, that gives you leverage, it gives you choices, and it gives you the ability to offer less. And don't forget, if you need a real estate agent, whether you're a buyer or a seller, anywhere in the United States, I can set you up with somebody 100% free. All you got to do is use the link down in the description below. And if you use it, not only is it free to you, but it also helps the channel, and I appreciate it. And one thing that could be both good news and bad news, depending on how you look at it, is unemployment is expected to rise throughout 2026, but Redfin believes it's not going to hit the 5% mark. Right now it's at 4.3. It's expected to continue going up. And if you are a prospective home buyer with a stable job, or you're self-employed and you've been saving for a long time, this could be good news for you, because it's going to present even further opportunity as more people are going to be forced to sell. But then, of course, it's bad news for anybody on the other side of that transaction who does lose their job and is the one who is forced to sell. So, of course, it works both ways. Another thing that Redfin is predicting for 2026 is that there's going to be a refinance boom. They think refinancing is going to go up by 30% in 2026, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if the mortgage rates are predicted to be roughly the same as what they are right now. Because if mortgage rates aren't going to budge much next year, then why are refinancings going to go up by 30%? Well, don't forget, guys, a couple of months ago, I made a video talking about how more than half of all the refinances that are going on right now are cash out refinances, and the average mortgage payment is going up by over $500 a month due to those cash out refinances. So, like I said, you have to read layers deeper than what the news is telling you, because this might sound like, oh, more people are taking advantage of lower interest rates. No, that's not what's happening. More people are taking advantage of pulling equity out of their house while they still can, because they need it to afford life and pay the bills. This is the side of the story that Redfin doesn't want to tell you. Another one of Redfin's predictions, which I think probably is spot on, is that housing affordability is not going to improve enough to help younger people get into a home. Therefore, there's going to be fewer babies next year and more roommates. As young people look for ways just to be able to survive and just to be able to have a place to live, no one's going to be having kids, and people are going to be shacking up together, which they're already doing, in order to be able to split the costs. And anybody who is fortunate enough to be able to buy a home as a younger couple is going to shrink the family size that they could potentially have, because the carrying costs for the home are higher, which leaves less money to actually have a family and more children. This is definitely an interesting prediction that Redfin has, which is that AI will become a bigger part of the home buying process. They say that AI is expected to become a matchmaker for house hunters that can help home buyers pin down properties that meet their budget and other needs. Well, that's kind of the job of a real estate agent right now, and I would argue that's sort of helpful. But in reality, a lot of home buyers have been doing this already now for more than a decade, guys. Like ever since Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and Redfin, all these websites became available to the public, people have been searching up their own listings and putting their own criteria list together, all on their own, without the help of a real estate agent for quite some time. AI might give that a slight boost and be a little bit helpful, but with all the mistakes that it makes, guys, even like the big and popular Chat GPT, all the mistakes that I see it make, I don't really see that an extremely helpful part of the home buying process, regardless of what kind of information you feed it. But they're saying AI is going to be more integrated into these websites like Zillow and Trulia and Redfin, where basically you can tell it what you're looking for and it can try to spit out the listings that meet your criteria the closest. But that doesn't mean real estate agents are disappearing. When it comes to people actually doing the transaction, more people than ever actually want to use a real estate agent to have expert advice and guidance with them. And honestly, this makes the real estate agent's job easier. It's less work for them if the buyers already have a list of properties that they know for a fact they're interested in. That used to be something we used to have to do manually.